Well, let's jump into it.
Sure.
This will be recording, so anybody who wants to watch the beginning part later, I mean,
Okay.
if they jump on later, we'll get them the recording so that they can see it.
Awesome.
Well,
Sounds
Karl, thank you so much for being willing to talk about how you've grown your business through networking. It's been really exciting to watch your growth. And I know that your primary source of business is your spheres and the social networks and the professional networks that you've built over the last several years.
yes.
So just tell us a little bit about kind of your backstory over the last few years, about the growth of your business.
Yeah. I think I'm year 4 with KW now. Can you?
Right?
Time flies. I think that's what it is. So I actually when I joined up at KW, I was previously with a team, but growth has been like crazy over the last few years. It started right out of the gate with just myself, not knowing what to do on my own, especially coming into a new brokerage. Having the support of all of you guys was incredible, and it helped the transition move a lot faster. But after the first year had an admin, then second year had one person on my team. Now there's another, so there's 2 full-time agents and an admin. So it's grown exponentially in the last few years, which I'm so thankful for.
Really fun to watch and be a part of it. It's exciting. So let's dive right in. Tell us a little bit about how you discovered networking to grow your business. Was it something that was a part of your life before real estate, or is it newer for you in the last few years?
I think we all, especially in this business and really just in life, relationships and networking is just what we do, right? It's about who you know and making sure that you're never burning any bridges. But when it comes to like specific like groups of networking and things like that, I first got involved. The first thing I joined was the chamber, the Oakville Chamber of Commerce, and the only reason why I joined that was because I was helping a friend out. I was like, just finished university, and he's like, hey, like we're going to be joining the Chamber of Commerce. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, it's basically like a community of business owners and like small to large businesses. And he's like, you just go out and meet a bunch of people and shake hands. And being the rookie that I was, I thought, the first thing that you do is you just go in and you like start tossing out your business cards, and that's how you're going to get business. And I quickly realized that that's not the case, that you really do have to invest, time and effort into building those relationships with people and not just always be talking about business. But that's really how I started, just after the university, because I was helping them out. I got involved in the chamber, but then I hadn't done anything with the chamber until I got really back into real estate. And I joined Oakville, Burlington, and Hamilton, and I just immersed myself in the community and did everything that I could to give back. And I went in with the mindset of like giving first and trying to help everybody. Like whenever I was at a networking event and meeting somebody, it's all about, what do you do and how can I connect you with people? And that I think has really kind of taken off, and why I've grown. It's just, you go in with that mindset of just being genuine and trying to help others. And then, it may not be an overnight success story, but in the long run, 4 years in and it's done pretty good. So.
Yeah. So you said that you learned really quickly that it's not just about handing somebody your business card.
Yeah.
How did you learn that lesson?
You know what? I think it was more so just the reactions that people would give you. Like you could tell, like you pass a card and they'd be like, oh yeah, this is what I do. And they'd be like, kind of give you that look, like, and I was like, man, that doesn't feel genuine at all. And so like, again, I talked to one of the guys at the Oakville Chamber. His name's Shane. He's one of the better networkers I think around. And he kind of just pulled me aside. He's like, okay, here, let's grab a coffee and I'll kind of show you the ropes of how this whole thing works.
A mentor for networking.
Yeah, exactly.
Your mentor, networking Sherpa.
Yeah, basically.
That's awesome. Is that your phone that's beeping, my friend?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna mute everybody. I'm gonna say, y'all just mute right here. I'm gonna have to charge you $25.
The old phone is on silent. I know better than that.
No, I charge you. So you were kind of pushed, dragged into the Oakville Chamber, fair enough to say.
Sure, yeah.
That wasn't necessarily like you didn't go seek that out. That kind of found you, right?
Yes.
So how have you how have you made the decision of what other networking groups or what other kind of communities that you've wanted to get involved in? How have you picked those groups?
I do want to jump in and put a plug first for Penny because, and I can see that she's on. Basically the icing on the cake for me was I was a member of the Burlington Chamber as well, and I was on the cusp of trying, and I had never met Penny before, even though she's been like a past chair at the Burlington Chamber and like everything like that. She's been immersed in it forever. But I think I was talking to Tamara, and Tamara was like, well, if you want to, like, if you're looking at Keller Williams, you got to talk to Penny. And we sat there was an event at the Holiday Inn, and we sat like in the bar area. And basically that was like the icing on the cake. I think I talked to her for a while, but in the first like 2 minutes, I was like, okay, Keller Williams is where I'm going to be at. So it's not just, direct business and whatnot, but it's building relationships. And Penny was the one that actually, like, right in that moment, I was like, hey, I don't even need to think about anybody else. I'm just doing the KW. So
that's awesome. She says in the chat box, she says, thanks, Karl. I remember the day.
that's
great.
That's
awesome. I love that.
I remember like it was yesterday.
So how have you picked, so you're part of the Oakville Chamber, you're part of the Burlington Chamber, and you're involved with some other groups that aren't necessarily professional networking groups, but other kind of communities where you've been really intentional about building your networks and your sphere. How do you, if you're considering joining a specific group, like what's the criteria for you? We talked a little bit about this, you and I, the other day.
Yeah, so kind of what you had mentioned in the, networking to grow your business, not cold calling, things like that. Like the reason why I did these things is I love human interaction, and I'm not like, it's awkward for me to cold call and to door knock. And it's just not something that I enjoy doing. So if I don't enjoy doing something, then I'm going to procrastinate and not do it. And that was why I joined the Chamber. I'm doing every networking group or whatever it is that I join. I want to get in and get involved and be 100% confident that I can contribute and make a difference. And that's why I went this route. But in terms of your question, the two chambers I physically went out and got involved in, and it was through that other doors opened up to me that, people realize that, I'm a young professional, I'm involved in the community, and more so than just the chambers. I'm getting active in a lot of the events that people throughout the chamber are hosting and things like that. So I'm now the co-chair for the Mary Ann Mead Ward Mayor's Millennial Committee. I'm on the Joseph Brent Young Professionals Network, Oakville Chambers Young Professionals, Burlington as well. And those ones were actually, they came to me just by being immersed in the chambers and being in the community for the last 3 or 4 years. And that's I've just been fortunate to have that come my way, and they're higher profile, say networking groups, if you will. And yeah, I didn't really select those. Only 2 that I selected really were the getting involved in the Oakville and Burlington Chamber, and then the others just kind of
Found you.
Yeah. Fell in my lap.
So if I were to come to you, or somebody were to come to you and say, hey, Karl, I've got this group, I've got this, thing I'm putting together, this committee, whatever it might be, how do you kind of decide if it makes sense for you to be a part of that or not?
For me now, or are you thinking about just anybody who's looking to join a group?
Well, I mean, anybody who's thinking about it, let's teach them what you think now versus what you would have thought in the beginning, because you've learned some stuff. You've probably joined some groups that maybe weren't the right fit or weren't part of your, progress.
Yeah, I think like anything, and I don't like using the word failure, but
misalignment.
Pardon me?
Misalignment.
Yeah, or mistakes that you learn from. But there's been a handful of networking groups that I've been invited to and joined, and then over a little bit of time, you just like, it just doesn't vibe well with what I'm, just me and just the people and all that kind of stuff. So you do have to do a little trial and error. But the biggest thing that I say is if it feels good in your gut, give it a shot and kind of play it out, because again, no matter what, you're going to meet some new and interesting people, and whether or not you become really close with everybody or just even one, like that's my mindset is when I go into a networking setting, I just go, okay, if I can meet one or two like cool people and build a relationship that way, that's all that I can ask for. So it doesn't, but again, if you're part of a group, if you're thinking about it, I say give it a shot, give it a try, and then see kind of how you want to take it from there.
So I took that question off my list. I was going to ask you what, when you show up at an event or you show up to one of your committee meetings, whatever it may be, what is your goal from your business mind? Obviously you're there to support the community that you decided to become a part of, but from a business mind, like what's going through your head as you're at an event? How are you intentional in that event?
I'm not even really thinking about my business, to be honest. I'm going out there to meet some new and interesting people. People always will. You're in a networking setting, they're always going to ask what you do. But as a realtor, being like one of so many, the first thing people hear, I can't tell you how many times it's happened, but you tell them that you're real estate and they're like, oh gosh, another realtor. I'm not selling my house. It's like, so I go in with the purpose of just getting to genuinely get to know people. Sometimes I hate to say it, I even forget my business cards and I don't even bring them in, and I just collect business cards from other people, and then I do the follow-up.
Some would say that's actually a really good strategy to conveniently forget your business cards.
Yeah, it's true.
You have to take somebody else's that you're in charge of the follow-up, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I prefer is being in control of that follow-up. And again, asking how you can help that other person. It's reciprocity. It's, you can help somebody out. Your chances are they're going to do whatever they can to help you.
So what I'm hearing from you so far in terms of like making sure the community you're picking is the one for you and that your intentions behind it are pure, is that you really need to make sure that, for everybody listening, that they pick a community that they actually desire to be a part of. They're not just going solely for the business element. Is that kind of what I'm hearing from you? There's more to it than that.
Yeah, there is definitely more to it. Some people will do it just because of the business aspect, because they maybe work for a large firm and they have to be around, and but for me, growing up in Oakville, living in Burlington, like those are the two communities that I love and are near and dear to my heart. So I go in with a very genuine and purposeful approach to it.
Awesome. I love that. I think that's probably received really well. Your intentions being wholesome and not solely to be the guy who shows up and say, I'm here to sell your house or whatever. That probably translates really nicely.
Yeah. And it's really cool because there's like a kind of changing of the guard, if you will. It's like maybe in second year into Keller Williams, just being more involved again in those chambers and being in the community. People kind of gravitate to you as like a comfort zone. Like if you're in a networking setting, people will approach me in that kind of, it's awesome. It's a really nice feeling to have, but you're walking into a room and kind of people are gravitating to you to try to help them. Like I don't have to necessarily go in and really push hard. You really do form, a good family of people. So it's cool.
Awesome. Love that. Can I ask a favor of you?
Sure. What's up?
My high eye friend, can you stay leaning a little bit forward? Every time you go back, you get real dark. We can't see your
really? I can't stay in one place.
It's hard to sit.
I'll try my best.
Okay.
I blur myself out so no one can see me.
All right. Before we move on to my next questions, Tar has a question for us. This is an awesome question. Karl, do you find more value in physical networking groups, i.e. the chamber, or Facebook groups? Have you done a lot of social networking?
I don't think I really have done any Facebook groups. Like I'm part of a couple, like Burlington Dads and things like that, but I've never actually networked this way. I think you, for the people that know me on here, like I'm such a social person, so I need to be in front of people, and this is killing me.
Yeah, that's why
This isolation.
cameras on right now so you can see faces and be connected.
This isolation sucks because like yeah, for me, like I'm a hugger, handshake. For me it's just reading people's emotions and reactions and stuff, and I kind of feed off that. So in terms of physical networking, it's just
That's been your thing.
it's all about I'm all for it.
There is a huge opportunity in the social networking side of networking, but it seems like that's kind of not where you focused your efforts.
Yeah, not that I wouldn't, I just haven't. I think given this pandemic, I feel that going this route is it's going to be kind of more of a game changer for a lot of businesses. Like everybody's doing Zoom conferences, and I was talking to a client the other day. It's like, how's this changing your business? And I just said, I was like, people are going to be more efficient. Like you don't necessarily need to go and have that coffee meeting in Mississauga with somebody. You can maybe have a Zoom meeting and be way more efficient and go about your day. Like there are tons of times where I've had to have a meeting for coffee in Mississauga, but then I have to fire out to Hamilton to show a place, and I'm like right on the timeline. And I think efficiency. So I'm definitely going to look into more of those Facebook communities or Facebook groups or networking online, but I haven't done it to date.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Thank you for your question, Tar. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Let's kind of move into the other side of things. How do you create structure around your networking? Like you're a part of a lot of groups, you've got a lot of communities you're involved in. How do you, first question in that regard, how do you create a boundary around that? How does that not take up your whole life being a part of all those groups?
It does take up thankfully, and this is just a commitment to myself that I've had over the last while, is that we don't have, like, my wife and I were recently 4 years, but recently married and no kids yet. So what I've said, like, is that I want to do as much as I possibly can now to foster really strong relationships that, again, I don't have to work as hard down the road. I still need to go and be there and be active and show face, but you don't have to actually like hit the pavement as hard. For me, the amount of networking groups that I'm part of right now, like even it breaks my heart every single day, because you've asked me to be on committees and things like that, and I do have to be selective in the ones that I participate in, because if I can't give 100%, then I don't want to. I don't like letting people down. So, but when we're in full normalcy, like it's pretty busy, mixing in networking with actual business and whatnot. But again, it's like everybody says, like if in real estate, if you were to take 6 months off of something, then it's going to take you 6 months to a year to get back to where you were. So networking and in meeting tons of people is what we have to do on a regular basis, right? So
at least you get to do it in a way that you enjoy, right?
Exactly.
So how else do you create structure around networking? Like, what does it look like? You go to an event, you get, you meet these new people, or you see these people that you know. What's your next step?
If it's a new, like, I try to meet at least 2 or 3 good new people each event that I go to. Okay. And the structure around that, again, follow up is everything. I like the face-to-face chat. So I'll immediately following a networking event, I will like hop in my car. I'll add them to LinkedIn or any social media platforms that they're in. Just, it's kind of like a quick touch point of being like, hey, I was thinking about you. And then probably the next morning, I will send an email to them and just say how nice it was meeting them yesterday. Love to grab coffee and just talk more about how I may be able to help your business, but being an ambassador in the chamber, is there ways in which the chamber can help your business a little bit more? And then you're kind of going in with dual purpose. You're helping them just trying to figure out how you can help them in their business, but you're helping the chamber kind of elevate their profile and doing some good to the community.
Win-win, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And then longer term, so say you meet somebody, you do your follow-up email, you get them on social or LinkedIn, obviously like that, the likelihood of that person going, hey, yeah, Karl, I need to sell my house today is pretty low.
Of
Maybe
course.
once in a while.
Yeah.
But what's the long-term follow-up plan? And I mean, I'm talking about building a relationship like a follow-up plan, but that's kind of what it is. So what does that look like? How do you intentionally grow that relationship over time?
So up until kind of mid last year, horrible when it came to really like communicating with my sphere and my database, which we've talked about, but I've gotten a lot better. And so what I'm doing now is I'm making sure that everybody gets added to, my newsletters or whatever content that we're sending out. And it's, again, for me, it's just genuine stuff that we're sending out to people. It's not really, I don't usually send out crazy amounts of stats and things like that, because my database doesn't respond well to that, especially when you're seeing like the click open rates and stuff like that. But that's an automatic. But then I'm seeing pretty well most of those faces at least once a month or twice a month just through events. So talking about a monthly touch point, that's 3 times in a month for one person. And in that kind of setting, and then it just kind of grows. You just start talking more and building that relationship that way.
Well, and from what I know of you, Karl, and I feel like I know you pretty well, you're the kind of guy that when you're seeing a friend of yours or a person that you care for, whatever, you're always giving. So I would imagine, I haven't seen you in your element of networking, but I would imagine when you're having conversations with those people, you're not talking about yourself. You're not telling them, you're saying, how have you been? What's going on in your world? Like you're contributing to them. You're pouring into those people. And I would imagine that endears people to you quite deeply.
Yeah. That's just who I am.
Just amazing.
It's not even sorry, I'm leaning back, pardon me. It's not even like I go into them. It's not even necessarily purposeful. Like I just go in and that's just what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, guys, I had intended for this session to be about half an hour. I wanted you to get in and get out and learn some awesome stuff from Karl about networking. I've got one more question for Karl. And if you guys have any, please type them in the chat box or the Q&A, or unmute yourself and say hello to him. He would probably love to hear a voice or see a face. I know my friend Karl. So I probably could think of 12 more questions to ask you, Karl, because you're kind of the pro in this department. What would be the
and he's the pro.
Yeah, she's pretty darn good at it too. That's
I just pick up on what she was throwing down.
Ride those coattails, right? We've got an amazing group of people here. We've had 21 participants at our top. So what would you tell these amazing people who are considering or want to know more about networking? What would your one piece of advice be to somebody thinking about using networking to grow their business?
One piece of advice would be to, if you're thinking about actually getting into the networking side of things, do something that you actually know you're going to like doing, or like get involved in something that you know you're going to enjoy doing. I know, like I'm like Lindsay plays baseball, softball, you're part of teams. Like that's a networking group to me. Like I play baseball, I play hockey twice a week. I play baseball twice a week, play hockey twice a week. I play a lot of golf. Pardon me?
When do you see Erin?
I don't know, every once in a while she comes out of her office when she's not in a phone call. And then at night I just say, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that would be my advice if you're thinking about getting into like a networking group or anything like that, is just, if it feels good and you know you're going to contribute, then go for it. Just do something that you're going to be happy doing, because again, I hate cold calling and I'll never do it. So why don't I spend time on something that I enjoy doing and I get business that way? So.
Well, and your cold call is walking into a room and sticking your hand out and shaking a new person's hand.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a different form. You're comfortable doing it in person, and
Yeah.
then make those warm follow-up phone calls after.
Yep.
That's your next kind of part
Agreed.
of your business, right? That's that next way of moving the relationship forward. So, I mean, you just like walking into a room and shaking somebody's hand instead of picking up a phone and saying, "Hi, I'm Karl," right?
Exactly. And down the road, you just want to hire someone that's good at that.
Okay, we have a couple questions here.
Oh, sweet.
Tara is saying, would you shy away from a group that has another realtor from your niche market area?
That's actually a good question. And my answer is absolutely not. The reason being is that I feel that anybody who's on this call right now, a client is going to work with me or with you. It all depends on the relationship. But down the road too, is that I want to get to know as many realtors as I possibly can, because, and I hate to say it, is that you're working on a deal down the road with them. What are the odds of you, if you have a great rapport with them, they know that you have very good clients, you sometimes have a leg up when they know that you're a good agent.
It's a much smoother transaction usually.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of agents that I have been in settings where it's obviously a bit awkward, but I don't ever look at it as necessarily competition. I look at it as an opportunity to get to know another agent to, like I said, down the road when I'm doing a deal with them, we already have a good rapport, and typically they know that I'm coming in with qualified and good clients as well. So.
Or down the road when you want to refer them to your team leader to maybe join Keller Williams. Just a thought.
Yes.
Karl.
The answer is yes. I'm just not good at it.
We're going to work on that together.
Yes, we will.
Okay. So awesome. That was a great question, Tara. Thank you.
Yes,
and a couple more in the chat box here. So Maureen, oh, hi, Maureen, says, I have the opportunity to open a BNI group in Kingston. I've been very familiar with that group for a long time. I've networked for over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a face-to-face person, not cold calling. Any input from anybody on starting a new kind of networking group? So what if somebody doesn't want to join something that exists? What if they want to start something? Have you started any of your own?
I have never started on my own. I've been part of startups, like smaller groups, and they have to be super, super purposeful and very structured. Like BNI is super, super successful. And like the one in Burlington, they were open for a realtor, like maybe 5 or 6 months back, because the other one left. And I went to a couple meetings. The hard thing for me is commitment. It's pretty sure it's weekly. So BNI weekly at 7 a.m, things like that. Not saying that I can't do it. It's just you have to be the person that's there, and you can only bring in like 1 or 2 fill-ins and stuff like that. So again, talking about commitment, I wouldn't have been able to commit to it 100%. Therefore, I didn't actually go and join. But BNIs are great avenues, and oftentimes the realtor spot and mortgage broker spot is always full. So as long as you can commit to that and work it, it's a great avenue to network. But when it comes to a startup networking group, there's been 2 that I've been involved in, and they were just too lackadaisy that we're still all friends and in our relationships, but like it kind of fizzled away just because one person doesn't show up and blah blah blah, and it just kind of yeah.
Okay, that's fair. All right, another question from Amanda. Karl, you're popular. We have lots of questions for you. This is awesome. On average, how many events a week do you aim to attend, or does it all depend on what is going on?
It does all depend on what's going on. If business is moving and shaking and I'm showing houses or doing whatever I'm doing, it's tough to get out to some, but it's usually about 4 a month. So there's Good Morning Oakville, and then there's my other networking groups, the Mayor's Millennial Committee and stuff like that. So Oakville Chamber and Burlington have 2 events. It's the Good Morning Oakville, and then business after hours. And the same thing goes for the Burlington Chamber. There's an after hours and usually a morning event. I try to make all 4 of those if I can. And then my Mayor's Millennial Committee meets once a month. The Joseph Brent Hospital Foundation once a month. And then once a month for the Young Professionals Networks at the Oakville Chamber in Burlington as well. So
plus your hockey twice a week and baseball twice a week that are really, those are communities that you're a part of, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so Karl's a busy guy is what I'm hearing. Amanda also says community over competition when it comes to building agent relationships. So important. That's amazing. That's summed up beautifully. Okay, one more question. If you have a question, type it in right now because we're going to aim to wrap up shortly. We've got Bold Pivot beginning for lots of us at 2:00. So let's go to Sasha. He says, having been a past member of the Oakville Chamber, I quickly realized an increasing expense to participate in the various events and giving back. Is budget a consideration for how you immerse yourself into any of these groups, as in any strategy cost to acquire clients, be it time or dollars? Is that a consideration that you could touch on?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sasha. So what I tend to do, so in the early stages, I would have kind of missed the Good Morning Oakville because it's $30 a month kind of thing. But when you're a member, once you've joined, the after hours are always free. So it's a couple hours of networking right after hours. So the incremental cost there doesn't change. I started becoming, call it frugal, call it efficient, call it whatever, but I started joining committees that were that helped out in those kind of events, like the chairs dinners and things like that have that are big ticket items. Joining committees that are kind of help that, so you get your kind of freebie in there instead of having to spend that kind of money. So it just started that way, but now I contribute by sponsoring and things like that. So I kind of got my freebies out of the gate, and then I am giving back now.
That's awesome. That's a clever way, though. I mean, you're helping contribute to that event, so you get to participate in that event, right? If somebody is being budget conscious in terms of events,
yeah,
that's a great way to get into an event and have the opportunity to be there and not have it cost you.
For sure. And also by joining other committees, you're building those relationships with different people in the chamber, and you're increasing your network and your relationships. So it really is a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of summarized the first section about really picking a group that you know that you want to be a part of, and because if you want to do it, you'll go do it. You're excited about it, you'll actually go do it.
Actually, yeah.
And then it sounds as though the follow-up and the relationship building is really about coming from contribution and focusing on being a support to other people and giving back to other people and being there for them as a resource when they're ready to talk business with you.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, you put people in your database and you do have those structures in place, and that's supported by the in-person contact that you have with them.
Exactly.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, gang, I see no more questions here. Of course, Karl, is in our office. I'm sure he'd be happy if you have a question one-on-one to reach out to him. There's 3 under the bus there. Sorry, buddy.
Always happy.
Inundated. But I want to thank everybody who has been with us today for this session. Guys, if you could do me a favor, I bet you would make Karl